Hi, I thought it was high time for me to give you a tour of my studio, which is at my house. And so I am going to put together a few things to show you where I work, how I store my equipment, where things are. Let's start here. This is where I do my work. And as you can see, my living room is there and my kitchen is there. It's literally the middle of my house, but this works for me. I have no barriers to working. Everything is ready to go. And so I have my easel right here. It is a Sienna counterweight easel. And what's really great about this easel is that if I just loosen these up, I can slide it up and down to set it where I want it to go. And this is really useful when I do a larger painting and need to work on the bottom, say, and so I can raise the top up. And this is located here because it's the only part of the house where I can go high enough with the easel and not bump into the ceiling. So I'm very happy with this easel. Next to me here is my tabaret, which was actually just a cabinet from Target that kind of stayed in the mid-century modern vibe that I love for my home. And so this kicks in. So I have a Richardson palette on top. And instead of using the paper like you would for acrylic paint, I had a piece of safety glass cut to fit. And so when I'm painting, in these drawers is my paint, I can take out my palette garage. Here you see I have my palette garage set into the palette. It's got a little Velcro just on the back to hold it in place. I can load up the palette garage with fresh paint from tubes and then dip into it as I mix mixtures here onto the palette. This keeps waste down because I can keep all my paint. It doesn't dry out on my palette at all. And what's fun also, you can see here that I have this gray. Sometimes at the end of a painting, I'll just mix together the leftover paint and leave it on here and use it as a neutral. My brush is sorted by size here, and a few of the mediums that I use most often. The drawers on the side here have all my paint, and they are organized by color. So I have white, black, and earth colors in this drawer. All my cool tones in here, so purple, 2 blues, and my greens. And then the last one down has yellow, red, and pink. In the bottom, there's just some storage. I have a tube squeezer and a few other odds and ends. In this drawer, I keep some mediums and palette knives and other tools and my secret stash of sugar-free Reese's peanut butter cups. One more thing to show you, I've just added a way to hold my paper towels onto the side there, and I have some rulers here. The lightweight wooden ruler I actually use as a maul stick to steady my hand when I paint. I have this value thing to help judge values as well nearby. What I didn't show you when I showed you my easel and my tabaret and palette was what was on the other side, which is the setup that I use for my still life objects. So I have this, I have this wonderful dog here. Hello, Hudson. So this is a standing desk that I have that I can raise and lower as needed. And then I have a couple of small tables that I can put on top to raise my subject. I just painted these gorgeous peonies that I cut from my garden. I have a couple of different light options, and that will slide up and down so that I can paint at any level. I do paint all of my still life paintings from life, and so it's really important to me that I have a place that I can put things nearby. So if you were to walk in my front door, you'd be in this room, which before I was a painter was the playroom that the kids used, and all their toys and such fit in here. And then this is still our dining room. But my husband calls this shipping and receiving. So my dining room table is really useful for varnishing paintings, framing, packaging, shipping, etc., etc. I also have this great light box for photographing my paintings. It really is useful at eliminating glare and making the color more true. I have a lot of my paintings on the walls. We put in a hanging system and some better light. And so that's there. I also have an area where I store greeting cards that I've had made in that cabinet. This is also where I store my still life materials. And so you can see here, this little cabinet was what I started out with. And I very quickly outgrew what I had here. You can see the shoes that I really like to paint. Those live in there because they're size 10.5 and they don't fit on my feet. But bit by bit, I'm also taking over this cabinet. And you can see that I've got lots of still life objects here that I can pull from. On the other part of this, I store a lot of my painting panels as well as some additional still life objects. And then finally on this side is where I keep my shipping materials, so all my tapes. I've got the next shelf is for framing, and so all the tools and things that I use for framing. This shelf has smaller panels for storage, and the larger panels are out here. Then I've got some other materials, paper, sketchbooks, markers, pencils, etc. And finally on the bottom shelf is some marketing supplies like business cards and brochures. And then some of the fluids that I'll use, sealants, gesso, varnish, etc. So that's all there. And what I love about this is that I just close the doors and it all goes away and looks great. All right, finally, I am going to show you my basement. So, of course, this is a little embarrassing. It is a basement. But here I'm keeping some of my larger panels. On this side, I have some of the boxes that I use for shipping. And then when we get over here, there's some empty frames, some framed paintings. This cabinet has a big assortment of framed paintings. I use cardboard a lot for packing and for storing, trying to keep things in good shape. So, and then this area here are all frames. And then all of my available work that's on panels is sorted by size into these tote baskets. And that's been a really easy way to keep track of paintings because for some reason I always remember what size they are. I also have some storage for empty frames, larger frames on this wall. They can hang on these hooks. And then in the middle here is just an assortment of some packing materials. I really try to reuse a lot of the packing materials that I get when I have frames and other things shipped to me. And so I really make a big effort to reuse a lot of that stuff. So that's where the magic happens. I'm really happy to work in my home. I find that sometimes it's really good for my painting process to be able to walk away from the easel for half an hour and then come back and look at something with fresh eyes, just the amount of time that you need to do a load of laundry or start dinner cooking. So this works really well for me. I know a lot of artists have a separate studio they go to, but this really works for me. I would be delighted to have you visit me in my studio. If you are ever near Durham, New Hampshire, please just reach out and I would be happy to show you my home and my studio in person. Thanks.